you don't believe that 911 truth stuff, do you? And she said, well, I don't know. I mean, there aren't enough facts in for me to make a decision for sure. I'd like to look more at it. The next day, her entire base of support for Governor Nevada went to zero. Governor of Texas, excuse me, went to zero. It's all over. We can't be too radical and scare people. We can't. But anyway, let me answer you the question. The question we asked is, what things would I do? Ernie mentioned you go after wealthy donors who are not donating right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a small businessman and a CEO. And believe me when I tell you, when you want donors to donate to the Libertarian Party, they're going to donate because a fellow businessman is running the party who talks about small business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you think Ernie talks about radical issues 24 hours a day, I talk about small business 24 hours a day, and I admit it. I talk about it ad nauseum. All I really care about is that 75% of all jobs, all new jobs in this country, are created by small business. And 51% of all non-government jobs, in general, are created by small business. Ladies and gentlemen, small business is the economic engine of America, and small businessmen have all the money to donate to conservative and libertarian causes. And that's why Barack Obama is trying to wipe out small business. He thinks he can destroy his biggest campaign contributors to his opponents. I am the guy who's the anti-Obama. I'm the guy to tell America that the problem is small business pays all the taxes and creates all the jobs. And you watch the money flow into the Libertarian Party. How do I know? I was on Glenn Beck's show when I ran for president, and I got $10,000 in donations. Not too many libertarians have ever heard those numbers. After one media appearance, $10,000 worth of people sent me checks. And every one of them said the same thing in the note or the email that they sent along with it. You are a small businessman with common sense, and that's what this country needs. And I'm a small businessman, and that's why I'm sending you money. So my first job is to raise money. My second is to train all of you to get in the media. And my third one is to travel the nation aiding candidates for the Libertarian Party to act like a CEO of an organization. The one thing Ernie is 100% right about is our national organization has been a failure and a waste of time and money up until now. You can know from me that is going to change.
Jesse Ventura guest hosted for Larry King a couple of weeks ago on Friday, had Dr. Paul on and so on. He's going on 9/11. We had him speak at the Arizona Capitol last year, and he got in the Senate caucus room, and we videotaped it. I interviewed him, and he goes, did you know that there are CIA agents in every state capital? When I got elected, they met with me. That's all they wanted to know was how the heck did I get elected? 30 of them. This is, conspiracies, everybody on the show, they'll point and say, do you believe in this conspiracy that the chemtrails, 9/11, and I just say, look, I don't need to know whether they did or not. I just need to ask one question. Can they? Can they enhance their power, scope, and truthfulness into your life? Then what's the moral hurdle for them not to? And when you go to 9/11, I go, as soon as you explain to me where all the tons of molten steel came from, then we go on to the next question. I tell you on this one thing, in the 1 minute that we have, I will not back off of this 9/11 investigation, knowing the truth. Will he?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I run away from it like a train on the tracks. My God, you want to destroy this party, name the national chairman who believes 911 was an inside job of the government. I'm not even debating whether it was. I'm telling you, you got to be careful what you say. Words are powerful. Jesse the Body Ventura was a hero of mine. By the way, he still is. Third-party candidate that was elected governor of Minnesota. Amazing. I use him in every conversation, on every conservative talk radio. They go, do you really think you get elected president someday? Do you really think libertarians get elected? I say, look at Jesse the Body Ventura. He was a wrestler who wore a pink boa, and he got elected governor. That's impressive. But the day, there was a point after governor where he was leading in polls for president of the United States, and the day he lost it was the day he made one simple, innocuous comment. Just offhand to me, he said, religion is the opiate of the masses. Anyone who believes in it is an idiot. From that moment on, he went from a legitimate candidate for president of the United States, a wrestler, to someone who never had any chance, grew his hair long, put it in a ponytail, went surfing in Mexico. You can't elect people who say things like that. You just send them surfing in Mexico. They have lots of great things to say. They may be right, but they got to go surfing in Mexico. They can't be in the White House talking about crazy conspiracy theories or saying religion is opiate for the masses. You can't. You can't do it.
This will have to be our last question because both of these gentlemen have planes to catch. Mr. Root will be the first speaker for this question. Would you support Ron Paul for re-entering the Libertarian Party as our candidate for U.S. President? Why or why not? And would you support Sarah Palin entering the Libertarian Party as our candidate for U.S. President? Why not?
Well, I think on this one, you're going to find the first question, Ernie and I agree on everything on this one. Sarah Palin has libertarian leanings, and I like her. She's very fiscally conservative, but she's not a libertarian in any way, shape, or form. And on social issues, she's so far beyond where we are, and she just can't be a libertarian. I also think there are many questions about Sarah Palin's competence and education level for being president of the United States that kind of disavow me from her on those issues. So no, I don't think Sarah Palin is joining the LP anytime soon, nor do I think she should. Ron Paul, I'm a big fan of. I really do agree with everything he says. I think sometimes he turns off a large portion of Republican voters by being a little bit too strident on issues of war and the war on terror and the issue of Israel. But other than those three things, which I basically agree with him on, I just don't agree with the way he says them. Sounds too scary. And I think if he were to moderate the way he talks about those three issues, I think Ron Paul would have a hell of a chance of being the next president of the United States. And I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago, not even close. I think Ron Paul is kind of on track to have a shot at actually being elected president. And I think one of the mistakes the Libertarian Party makes is we're too tunnel vision with who's a libertarian or not. The question was, would you allow him in the LP? I think the real question is, should the Libertarian Party vote on the national level and on the state level to allow us to endorse other parties' candidates from time to time? If Ron Paul runs for president as a Republican and wins the nomination, and it's him against Obama, heck, I support Ron Paul. I don't care if he's a Republican. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. So I think the mistake we made, my parents are the model for this party. My mom and dad founded, they were not the only ones, they were a group of 25 people that founded the New York State Conservative Party. The New York State Conservative Party is the single most successful third-party model on a state level in the history of America. They were a bunch of rebels with pitchforks like all of us. They had no money, and they went out there and thought they could compete with these two giants, Rockefeller, the governor of New York, and Jacob Javits, the most powerful United States senator. Both Republicans, both big spending, big government guys. Now, my parents were way too socially conservative for any of you. You couldn't stomach it. But they were fiscally exactly where we are. And they thought Rockefeller and Javits were rhinos, Republicans in name only, and they thought they were ruining New York State and America. So they founded the Conservative Party to knock them out of office. And you know what Javits and Rockefeller said? You're a joke. You're a gnat. You can't bother me. You can't stop me. And they were right. My father was the first big conservative candidate, and he got like 3% of the vote, like we tend to get. And over the years, though, fast forward 10 years later, suddenly they elected James Buckley, United States Senator, conservative, state of New York. They elected the first third-party senator in the history of New York before or since. And since then, they either run somebody who knocks the Republican out of the race and loses the election for him, or if they like what the Republican says when he comes before them on bended knees, they endorse him. And guess what? In the last 35 years, not one single Republican has won statewide office in the entire big bad New York State without Conservative Party endorsement. I think our party should start endorsing and becoming a kingmaker politicians like Ron Paul, or maybe occasionally a Tom Colbert or a DeMint, who on fiscal issues agree with us, and even a good Democrat once in a while. I'm sure there's one or two out there somewhere. And we could become a kingmaker and then elect a few of our own people. And maybe Ron Paul's that guy.
Hancock, 3 minutes.
It's not up to me to